Hey fam. So, how you doing? Uh, new look, new look. I really like it. It's quite feminine. It's gonna take me a while to get used to, but I love it anyways. So, quick update on the situation. Thus far, praise Allah, we have rid the hackers' influence on all the accounts and devices. Cost a lot of money, took a lot of time. Had to delete the Patreon. Had to close my Etsy shop. Had to end the charities I was giving because, hurt my wallet pretty bad. We have a lot of information about the individual, his methods, the people he sold data to. We have quite a lot. But instead of focusing on that, I want to do some clarifications first. So, I've been accused by the person of studying magic, practicing witchcraft. I would like to clarify something. I have read about the beliefs of different groups that are classified as a cult, right? Now, I had never read an instruction manual with directions on ritual. No, don't get confused. Now, this might be hard to understand for people who don't have access to information in a way, but follow me on this trail, okay? Now, about 7 years ago, there was a big movement on YouTube where religious scholars were exposing correctly symbolism, beliefs, methods of occultists in the music industry, Disney, and other outlets. And they were giving very systematic evidence, right? And exposing what happens in Bohemian Grove and what are these politicians, some of them, doing in private, right? Now, after they had did all this research, several brilliant scholars, I won't mention their names, they were targeted for exposing this. And I got to witness their takedown systematically. They were coming with real facts, real hardcore evidence with research, and they were exposing these politicians and their networks. And later, the politicians and other groups, they did not like this. Music industry people, they did not like it. So YouTube started cracking down on them. But I had went to, while those people still had YouTube channels, I went to their websites and I bought their books. And those scholars would say, here's this symbolism, here's what it means, here's what these people think it means. It was very dry. It's like if you got a hieroglyph dictionary of the Mayans or the Egyptians or the Aztecs or somebody, and they told you this is what this means. That's what it was. I've never read and never will read anything that has direct instructions or anything like that. Number one, let's get that clear, okay? So that accusation is quite unfair. And my own family, some of them would talk about it on the down low and say, like, this means this means that, watch out, watch out. And I felt a deep compulsion to be like, okay, I gotta study it and I have to warn other people. But then YouTube, Facebook, and this very clever way that people started saying conspiracy theorists, they started labeling people that and started, just censorship across the board. So when you would try to talk to people about, hey man, this means this, they'd say, where's your evidence? Do you have any citations? And then it'd be hard because if you talked about it, you'd get heavily censored on YouTube, right? Or on any platform. And then all that was left was people making things up for views, right? Making scary videos of scary music for views. And they took out the scholarly aspect of exposing them, which was more effective, boring, but effective, right? The scare tactic made people laugh, right? But if you were like, hey man, I understand that there's 2-minute videos that are very badly edited, that aren't with facts, that make it look like a mockery and a joke, but I read this book by a scholar who said, this means this means this order does this other order does that, and here's why you shouldn't do it. That was my aim. It was never to be one of them. number one, okay? Because I've been hurt by those people, I've been targeted by those people, and I would never join anything dark arts because I've been a victim of it and I've suffered around those kinds of people. And when you're a victim and you share things, that helps people. I was not trying to read things in order to convince people to join the dark arts or to practice it. That's quite unfair. There's a big difference between learning about them academically and what do they believe, what do they do, who are they hanging out with, what's going on, right? Being a detective in that way, that's quite different than saying, here, you should join them, you should do this, you should do that. That's quite different, okay? And I would never do that. If I wanted to be a magician or in the dark arts, I would have gone along with everything they said, and I wouldn't be telling you to stay away from it, number one. If I was a satanic person, I would have given my body up to a plastic surgeon and let them carve me up and create me into some creature, and then, gone into fashion or the adult entertainment industry or something else, right? So I feel like that's a very unfair accusation, right? I understand if you're from another country where you're not in Babylon, right? You're not in Babylon, so you're looking at it, you were born into a different religion, you live in a nice area, you have a good family, but you're not here around it, right? You don't understand. So for the people who try to talk about it today, they get laughed at. They get called all kinds of names. They're, well, you're not serious. And, if you read some of the scholars' books on it, they don't say you should be one of them. Instead, they say, well, this is what they believe. And then for me, when I'd read it, I'd be like, man, these people are crazy. You chuck the book away. And then you can argue with these people if you ever meet them in real life, right? You can say, I've read your book. I don't agree with your view on the cosmos or ethics or whatever, you name it. I don't agree with you. I agree with Islam. Let me sit down and maybe I can convince that person to change their path in life, right? Intention does matter. And here's the other thing. If you don't have the skill set to convince people, that you cannot hold me back, right? Everyone's born for a different reason, okay? My skill set means I have the patience, the diligence, and capability of sitting down with all kinds of people and talking to them, and I can come with knowledge and not superstitious dogma that I got from a YouTube video for 2 minutes. I can actually bring a book and say, well, Elena Blavatsky said this, but her definition is actually incorrect. What's your definition? Okay, that's what you believe? Okay, let's cross-reference that with something else, and we can have a whole conversation. And imagine I can turn people to a better path, maybe, only Allah can do it through whoever He wants, but I can still try, right? And everyone has a different will, right? Some people don't have the capacity or the capability to protect their own mind from being corrupted. Other people do, I have no use of anything that the dark arts would want, number one, okay? I don't value fashion. I like simplicity. I love children. I don't want to hurt children, okay? I don't worship the adult entertainment industry, and I don't worship my body, and I don't wear makeup, and I'm very plain, and I live pretty minimally. Those are not the values of a lot of occultists if you actually study their work, right? Remember, their literature that would be real, that would be only for the initiates, people who were initiated. I would never allow myself to be initiated into that, because you cannot leave it. Now, the books are just plain dictionary books, right? This is like if you read a book, here's what the ancient Aztecs believe, right? Here's what the ancient Greeks believe. That doesn't mean you're believing in the ancient Greek religion or the ancient religion of Macedonia. It just means you read about it, you learned about it, you move on. When you're an actual scholar and you read a lot, your relationship with books is like a newspaper, right? Like when you're scrolling through your phone and you're looking at news stories, right? You're like, maybe that journalist didn't say the right thing. Let me see what the other journalist said about the same topic. You cross-reference it, you digest it, you say, no, I don't believe that, right? You can have your own critical thinking skills, okay? And it's very unfair to say that I am doing anything with the dark arts when I constantly warn people about the methods they use, okay? Pointing out the methods they use doesn't make me one of them. In fact, they're the ones who would be mad at me because I'm hurting their wallet, right? I tell people, don't go into the adult entertainment industry because you'll end up being trafficked. You think they like that? If I was part of the dark arts, I would be convincing people to go there, right? That's not what I'm doing. I give people advice how to avoid pimpstresses, why they shouldn't do it. A dark arts person wouldn't do that because lust is an essential component. Now, being confident in your physical body is not the same as being a lust peddler, okay? A brothel keeper is different than somebody who works out and is like a narcissist. That's quite different. You have to know the difference because definitions of terms matter, okay? Grammatically, they matter, and you have to be rational and reasonable. Now, I do realize that not every person has the capacity to have a strong will against them. But it's unfair to say that I am part of the dark arts. Like, for example, that artist who did the Old Town Road, he has an audience of children. He made a new song where he's lap dancing for the devil and doing adult acts with the devil. And he knows his fan base is children, and then he created a shoe that was a satanic shoe with the pentagram and fake blood on the soles of the shoe. Now, why don't you guys, you haters, go after people like that? But if you come after me and you're like, you're reading these books, you're doing that. No, you're getting confused. You should ask somebody, like, hey, what is the books? And if you read it, people in America, or really any country where there's a lot of literature, would say, they would laugh at you and be like, this book isn't serious, right? I would never expose myself to any text that I felt was truly dark, nor would I go looking for it. All the books I buy are very public books from Barnes & Noble. You can find them on Amazon or a niche bookstore. I'm not going into the dark areas. Now, there's been books where, like I said, scholars have exposed some of, like, ancient symbolism, right? What it means. What did the Persians think? What did the Gnostics think? What did, the Pythagoreans think? There's, like, people, like, definitions. That's all it really is, I never went into anything beyond that. So if you attack me and you accuse me of something like that, it's quite sad. Because all my life I've been fighting against those satanic people, and it's quite unfair for me to be accused as being one when I'm fighting against them and they don't like me. And it's really hurtful. So before you accuse someone of something, you should ask them, why are you doing it? What's your intention? What's this book about? Especially if you've never read it. And who's the author? What was their aims? Because that matters. It really does matter. So again, that's just some things I want to say about part update, and I'll do another update after this one.